I never thought I'd stand at the altar of St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York City, heart pounding like a war drum, and watch my fiancé's brother slip a noose of lies around my neck right there in front of God, family, and 500 guests. Anna's laughter sliced through the organ's swell like a switchblade, high and brittle, as if my unraveling was the punchline to some sick family joke she'd been saving for the big day. In that frozen second, with the priest's words hanging in the air like smoke from a gunshot, I did the unthinkable. I grabbed the mic from his trembling hand and confessed everything, not just the humiliation, but the buried sins we'd all dragged into that holy space, dooming us before the I do. It started 6 months earlier, in the sticky heat of a Brooklyn summer, when Anna and I were still the golden couple everyone envied. We'd met at a rooftop party in Williamsburg 3 years prior, the kind where craft IPAs flow like water and everyone's hustling some startup dream. I was a mid-level analyst at Goldman Sachs, grinding spreadsheets in a glass tower on Wall Street, dreaming of the day I'd trade my tie for a boat in the Hamptons. Anna was the firecracker, sharp-tongued marketing exec at a tech firm in Chelsea, with raven hair that caught the city lights like a halo and eyes that promised chaos wrapped in silk. She was Italian-American through and through, raised in a loud, loyal family from Bay Ridge, the kind that gathered for Sunday gravy and settled scores with a glare or a gabagool sandwich. Our engagement happened on a whim during a long weekend in the Catskills. Me down on one knee by a roaring fire, ring box shaking in my hand. "Marry me, Jack," she'd whispered back, not even letting me finish, her lips tasting like bourbon and forever. We planned the wedding fast, too fast, maybe because Anna's family insisted on tradition, and her brother Marco, the golden boy lawyer from Manhattan's elite firms, was footing half the bill. Marco was 6 years older than Anna, built like a linebacker who'd traded pads for pinstripes, with a smile that could charm a jury and eyes that sized you up like evidence. He loved Anna fiercely, protectively, the way only a big brother from a fractured home could. Their parents had split when Anna was 10, Dad running off with a secretary to Florida, Mom drowning in gin and resentment. Marco stepped up, paid for Anna's NYU tuition, and became the patriarch. I respected that. Hell, I idolized it a little. But Marco never warmed to me. From the first family dinner at their mom's cramped row house, plates of braciole and zeppole piled high, he'd grill me over the Taramu. "Goldman. Huh? You one of those wolves who tanked the economy in '08. I'd laugh it off, chalk it up to old-school machismo. But Anna would squeeze my thigh under the table, her nails digging in just enough to say, "He's testing you." Pass. And I did. Every time. Because for her, I'd swallow pride like bad espresso. The first crack appeared in late July, during a firm retreat in the Hamptons. Anna and I were crashing at Marco's beach rental, a sprawling modernist box on Further Lane. All glass walls and infinity pools overlooking the Atlantic. It was supposed to be our pre-wedding escape, but Marco invited his crew, a pack of high-rolling attorneys from his firm, the kind who summered in the vineyard and wintered in Aspen, sniffing out deals like bloodhounds. One night, after too many Negronis on the deck, Marco pulled me aside while Anna flirted with his partner Elena by the fire pit. The waves crashed below, salt air thick as regret. "Jack," he said, clapping a hand on my shoulder hard enough to bruise. "You know Anna's my world, right? I'd burn this whole island down for her." His breath was Scotch sour, eyes glassy but sharp. I nodded, clinking my glass to his. "Good. Because there's something you need to know about her." about us. He leaned in, voice dropping to a conspirator's hush. Back in college, Anna got mixed up in some shit. Bad shit. Identity theft ring, nothing violent, but enough to bury her if it surfaced. I covered for her. Took the heat. Pleaded it down to a misdemeanor. Sealed the records. She's clean now. But he trailed off, staring at the horizon like it held indictments. If anyone digs, it points to her. And I can't let that happen. My stomach twisted, but I played it cool. Anna? My Anna. The one who volunteered at animal shelters and quoted Rumi on Instagram? Why tell me now? I asked, forcing a grin. Because you're family soon. And families got each other's backs, even when it means carrying ghosts. He squeezed my arm, brotherly now, and walked away, leaving me with the roar of the sea and a seed of doubt sprouting like kudzu. I didn't confront Anna that night. We made love on the deck chaise instead, her body arching under the stars, whispering promises that tasted like lies. But the next morning, hungover and hollow, I started digging. Subtly at first, casual Google searches from my phone in the bathroom. Anna Rossi college scandal. Nothing. Then deeper. Pulling strings at work. Calling in a favor from a buddy in compliance who owed me for covering his ass during a SEC audit. Run this name, I texted. Heart hammering. Hours later, a redacted file. Buried in New York court archives. Anna's name. Linked to a 2012 fraud case. She'd posed as affluent alums to siphon tuition funds, $50K wired to dummy accounts. Charges dropped, but a shadow plea hung over her brother, who'd confessed to advising her, taking a slap on the wrist to shield her. Betrayal hit like a gut punch. Not just the crime, petty, desperate. The kind born from a broke kid scraping by on ramen and resentment, but that she'd let it fester. Let Marco play martyr, while she built our life on borrowed innocence. And me? I'd been the patsy. The clean-cut fiancée blind to the rot. I confronted her that weekend, back in our Bushwick loft. Rain lashing the floor-to-ceiling windows like judgment. Anna. What the hell is this? I shoved my phone at her, the file glowing accusatory. She glanced, face paling, then crumpled onto the couch, head in hands. Jack. Baby. It's ancient history. I was stupid. 21. Drowning in loans after mom's accident. Marco fixed it. We moved on. Moved on. I paced, voice rising. He carried it for you. Lied for you. And you never told me? We're getting married. Anna. Vows mean truth. Tears streaked her mascara. But her eyes, those damn eyes, flashed defiance. You think you're spotless, mister? Wall Street. Trading souls for bonuses? Marco protected me, because that's what family does. Blood over everything. She stood, closing the gap, fingers tracing my jaw. Let it go, Jack. For us. I wanted to. God. I did. But the seed had roots now, twisting through trust. Over the next weeks, as invites went out and venues booked, I watched her closer. The way she'd flinch at mentions of law enforcement on TV. Or how Marco's calls always ended with her voice hushed. Urgent. Yeah. Bro. It's handled. Handled what? The wedding loomed. A $200,000 spectacle, catered by Per Se. Banned from Lincoln Center, but beneath the tulle and top-shelf champagne. I plotted. Not rash, calculated. Revenge wasn't a scream. It was a scalpel. By October, I'd mirrored Marco's play. I hired a PI, a grizzled ex-cop named Ruiz from Queens, who chain-smoked camels and charged by the shadow. Dig on the brother, I said over diner coffee in Midtown. Everything.
Ruiz nodded,
Vanishing into the city's underbelly. Reports trickled in Marco's firm. Elite but edged, rumors of insider trading. Clients funneled through offshore shells. Nothing prosecutable, but a pattern. Then the bomb, a 2018 email chain. Marco advising Anna on a side gig post-college, falsifying expense reports at her first job, pocketing $20,000 before an audit sniffed it out. Again, he confessed peripherally. Plea bargain did away. Anna walked free, resume polished. The pieces clicked. Marco wasn't just protector, he was enabler, weaving a web where Anna's whims landed soft, and suckers like me footed the bill. But the deepest cut? A voice memo Ruiz pulled from a discarded burner phone. Anna. Post-engagement. Laughing with Marco, over speaker. Jack's so straight-laced.
Bro.
He'd freak if he knew.
But hey.
Keeps him loyal. Right? Laughter. Shared and sharp, like breaking glass. Rage simmered. But I channeled it. I fed anonymous tips to the SEC, vague enough to probe without backlash. Watching Marco squirm at family dinners, his jokes tighter, eyes darting. Anna noticed, cornering me after a tasting at Gramercy Tavern. What's with you and Marco? You're icing him out. I smiled, swirling my Barolo. Just guy talk. Wedding stress. She bought it. Or pretended to, pulling me into the coat room for a frantic kiss that tasted like desperation. November brought rehearsals. The city crisp with fallen leaves and fairy lights strung across Central Park. Marco pulled another stunt at the bachelor party, Vegas on his dime. But he accidentally booked me a suite next to a client rival, planting a hooker in my bed for plausible deniability if photos leaked. I woke to her giggling, phone camera flashing, but I'd anticipated. Security footage showed Marco's setup, and I paid her double to vanish. Back in NYC, I leaked the near miss to a gossip rag, anonymized, framing it as Wall Street wedding woes. Marco fumed at brunch the next day, fork stabbing his eggs Benedict. Someone's got it out for me.
Jack.
You hear anything? World's full of snakes, I said, buttering my croissant, Anna's hand warm on mine under the table. She squeezed. Oblivious or complicit, I couldn't tell anymore. That blurred line fueled the tension, the dark thrill of it all. Was I avenging betrayal? Or becoming the monster? Nights alone, I'd stare at the ceiling fan whirring like accusations. Anna's soft snores beside me a reminder. Love was the ultimate con. December rehearsals amped the stakes. Dress run at the cathedral. Snow dusting the spires like powdered sugar on sin. Marco cornered me in the sacristy. Bourbon on his breath despite the hour. Heard about Vegas. Cute move. Leaking that shit. Think I don't know it's you. His face twisted. The charming mask slipping to reveal the schemer beneath, veins bulging. Teeth bared. Touch my sister again like that, and I'll bury you deeper than those old files. I met his glare. Inches apart. The scent of incense thick. Files? Like the ones where you played Fall Guy for Anna's fuck-ups? Twice now. Marco. Once his loyalty, twice is a pattern. He blinked. Surprise flickering before rage. You think you're clean? I ran your background.
Jack.
That? Oh, 8 bonus you chased? Tied to subprime bullshit that tanked families. Hypocrite. The words landed like hooks. Because he wasn't wrong. I justified it then. Market's brutal. Everyone's playing, but in that dim room, with vows echoing faintly from the nave, it stung. We were mirrors. Him and me. Protectors turned poisoners. All for the women we claimed to love. Truce. I extended a hand, voice steady. He took it, grip crushing, a silent pact laced with venom. Christmas came and went in a blur of family chaos, Mom's quiet Methodist grace clashing with the Rossies' raucous feast of the 7 fishes at their Jersey Shore manse. Anna glowed in red velvet, toasting futures. But I caught Marco's glances, loaded like chambers. She pulled me aside by the twinkling tree, eggnog warm on her breath. You okay, babe? You've been distant. Her fingers laced mine, vulnerable now, the girl from the rooftop peeking through. Just nerves, I lied, kissing her forehead. Love you. And I did, fiercely, foolishly, even as the knife twisted. New Year's Eve sealed the shift. Fireworks over the Hudson from our loft. Champagne flutes clinking as Anna straddled me on the rug. Dress hiked, promising eternity. But midway, her phone buzzed Marco. She answered, turning away, voice low. Yeah, it's set. The transfer clears tomorrow. He'll never know. Transfer? My blood iced. Later, rifling her purse while she showered, I found the statement, $100,000 from a joint account, our wedding fund, routed to an offshore LLC. Marco's signature, co-signed by her. Not embezzlement. Exactly, just investment advice from her brother, vanishing into crypto volatility. Our nest egg gambled on his hunch, leaving us $50,000 short with vendors circling. That was the line. Betrayal wasn't abstract anymore. It was eviction notices looming, dreams deferred. I didn't rage, I planned. Called Ruiz again. Escalate. Full dossier on the wire. By mid-January. With invites RSVP'd and the city buried in slush. I had it. Irrefutable proof. Emails. Transfers. Even a recorded call where Marco coached Anna on the skim, laughing it off as family tax. The SEC tip this time was ironclad. Anonymous drop at their Manhattan office. Time-stamped for maximum fallout, post-ceremony, pre-honeymoon. The week of the wedding. Tension crackled like static. Anna, sensing the storm, clung tighter, spa days in Soho. Fittings at Kleinfeld's where she'd twirl in organza. Eyes pleading. Promise me? Jack, no more secrets after this. I'd nod. Throat tight. Because mine was the bomb ticking beneath the cake. Marco played it cooler. Toasting at the rehearsal dinner in Cipriani's gilded halls. But his eyes tracked me like a hawk. To the happy couple, he said. Glass raised. But the words dripped acid. Guests sued over the florals, white orchids cascading like waterfalls, but I saw thorns. Rehearsal night. Alone in the hotel suite overlooking Times Square's neon frenzy. I rehearsed my lines. Not objections, confessions. I'd expose the web, Anna's college fraud, the job scam, the wedding fund heist. Not to destroy, but to force truth. Make them own the mess we'd built. Revenge as reckoning. Dark and debatable. Who is the villain when everyone bore stains? My hands shook as I folded the printouts into my tuxedo pocket. The paper crisp as a summons. The morning of February 14th, Valentine's wedding. Anna's whim. Dawn broke cold and clear. Central Park a white expanse from our limo window. She was radiant in the bridal suite, veil framing her like a saint's, but her smile trembled. Last chance to bolt, she joked, kissing my cheek through the mirror. Marco hovered, adjusting her train, his face a thundercloud. You ready? Sis, she nodded, but her eyes met mine questioning, loving.
Lost.
The cathedral swelled with guests, Wall Street suits, Rossi cousins in fur-trimmed coats, my quiet Midwestern kin dwarfed by the spectacle. Organ thunder Vivaldi as I waited at the altar, sweat beading under my collar despite the chill. Then she appeared, arm in Marco's, the aisle a gauntlet of whispers and flashes. His grip on her was possessive, and as they neared, he leaned to me, voice of venomous murmur audible only to us three, smile pretty.
Jack.
One word from me, and your career's confetti. Anna's mind to protect, always was. The humiliation landed then. Public as a billboard. Marco's hand on her back lingering too long. His wink to the groomsmen like a shared secret. And Anna, God. Anna, glancing between us, her lips quirking into that laugh. Not full-throated, but enough, a titter muffled by bouquet, eyes sparkling with complicity. As if his threat was foreplay, my emasculation the appetizer. The priest intoned, dearly beloved, but blood roared in my ears. Who gives this woman? The priest asked. Marco stepped forward, voice booming. I do, Father. Her brother. Her keeper.
Keeper.
The word ignited it. As Anna reached for my hand, ring poised, the guests hushed, I snatched the wireless mic from the ombo, feedback screeching like a soul's wail. Stop, I said, voice echoing off vaulted ceilings. 500 faces snapping to me like startled deer. Anna's eyes widened, bouquet wilting. I object. Not to the marriage, to the lies we've all swallowed. I pulled the papers, unfolding them like a shroud. Anna, Marco, tell them. The college theft. The falsified reports. The $100,000 you two siphoned from our future because family first trumps fidelity. Gasps rippled. A wave crashing. Marco lunged. Face purple. You son of a... But security, my call. Ruiz's guys in usher vests held him. Anna's veil slipped, tears carving tracks through powder. Jack.
Please.
It was for us. To build something bigger. Bigger?
A lie.
But laced with truth, her desperation mirroring mine. The American dream's cruel grind twisting good intentions to grift. The priest stammered, guests murmuring, some horrified, others nodding. Whispers of Wall Street wolves and family loyalty fracturing the room into factions. My mom wept silently in the third pew. Anna's cousins shouted Italian curses. I stood there, exposed, the avenger unmasked, but doubt gnawed. Had I saved us, or shattered the only real thing? Marco snarled from restraint. You think this ends it? Check's already bounced.
Jack.
Your tip to the feds? Trace back to you, entrapment. They'll say. The twist hit then. Ruiz texting from the vestibule. Abort. Marco flipped the script, planted your prints on the docks. Cops en route. Betrayal's echo. His cunning flipping the board. Anna reached for me. Voice breaking. We can fix this. Together. But her eyes held Marco's shadow. And in that chaos, as sirens wailed distant, I saw it, the secret I'd borne unknowingly, not just her sins, but mine. I'd leaked the fund heist tip too early. Ego blinding caution.
Making me the fall guy now.
I dropped the mic, its thud booming, and walked the aisle backward, guests parting like the Red Sea. Anna called after. Jack. Plea or curse? I couldn't tell. Outside. Snow swirled. The city indifferent. Cops swarmed, cuffing Marco for the scuffle. But their eyes on me promised audits. Indictments. Revenge tasted like ash, Pyrrhic.
Polarizing.
Was I hero, hauling skeletons to light? Or villain, torching the bridge for spite? Anna's laugh echoed in memory. But so did her kiss. In the end, as they led me to questioning, her waiting in the cold, veil discarded like a ghost, I wondered if we'd rebuild from ruins, or if betrayal's stain was indelible. The twist? Marco's final whisper. Caught on a guest's video. She chose you.
Jack.
To save me. Anna's deepest secret, not crime, but sacrifice. She'd confessed him months ago. Begged him, stop the schemes for my sake. He'd refused, dragging her down to protect his empire. She'd laughed at the altar not in cruelty, but despair, knowing the endgame, loving me enough to let it burn. Debate raged online by midnight. Wedding crash viral. Camps forming. He exposed the frauds. Versus. Ruined a woman's life for ego.
Me?
I sat in holding, staring at the precinct wall. Anna's text lighting my phone. Fight with me? Fingers hovering. I typed back, always. Happy? Tragic? In America's gray grind. Maybe both. Revenge as the great equalizer. Leaving no winners. Just survivors scarred and strangely free. The fallout hit like a nor'easter, whipping through our lives with the ferocity only a New York scandal could muster. By dawn on Valentine's morning, as the cathedral's bells tolled mockingly over Fifth Avenue, Anna and I were holed up in a no-tell motel off the Bruckner Expressway in the Bronx, faded neon sign flickering vacancy, the kind of place where dreams go to die under threadbare quilts. Cops had grilled me for hours at the 19th precinct. Entrapment allegations. Reckless endangerment. A parade of suits from the DA's office circling like sharks. You wired the funds yourself, Mr. Hale. One sneered, sliding photos of forged transfers across the table, my signature. Somehow, in Marco's meticulous script. I'd stared, numb, the twist burrowing deeper. Not just planted evidence, but a digital ghost job. Marco's firm's specialty. Anna arrived at 4 a.m., smuggled in by Ruiz, who'd pulled every string short of sainthood. She looked wrecked, mascara rivers dried on her cheeks, gown swapped for yoga pants and my old Columbia hoodie, hair a tangled halo. They released you, she whispered, collapsing into my arms on the sagging bed. The room smelled of stale smoke and regret, a far cry from our loft's exposed brick charm.
Yeah.
No charges yet. But Marco. I trailed off, the name acid on my tongue. He'd been detained for assault, his lunge at the altar caught crystal clear on a dozen iPhones, but his lawyers were already spinning it as protective instinct. Bail hearing at 9 a.m., and whispers said he'd walk. Countersuit in hand against me for defamation. Emotional distress. Anna buried her face in my chest. Sobs muffled. He did it.
Jack.
The forgeries. I told him to stop months ago. After the Hamptons. Begged him. But he's addicted to the control. Says it's for the family legacy. Legacy. The word mocked me, echoing the Rossi ethos I'd once admired, blood thick as marinara. Debts paid in silence.
But now?
It was a noose, and I'd yanked it tight on myself. Why laugh? Anna? At the altar. When he threatened me, why laugh like it was nothing? She pulled back, eyes red-rimmed but fierce, the firecracker reigniting. Because if I didn't laugh, I'd scream. The whole drive down the aisle, he was whispering, "Tell him no, or I'll expose your part in the fun thing." I was trapped,
Jack.
between you and him, and loving you both too much to choose. Her hand cupped my face, thumb tracing the bruise from Marco's grip. But you chose for me. Thank you. Gratitude in the ruins, dark, debatable, the kind that philosophers would chew over in smoky bars. We didn't sleep. Instead, we talked till the sky lightened to bruise purple, unraveling the threadbare tapestry of us. She confessed it all, the college scam, born from Mom's medical bills after a car wreck left her with a spine full of pins and a liver pickled in painkillers. I was so scared, Anna said, voice small. Marco said, "Let me handle it." And he did, forged the alum's creds. Took the plea. I hated myself, but it bought time. The job fraud? Same cycle. Her entry-level gig at a Madison Avenue ad agency bleeding her dry. Marco's advice a lifeline laced with hooks. And the wedding fund? I pressed, though I knew Ruiz's dossier painted it vivid. His idea: invest in crypto. Double it by spring. I co-signed because, God, Jack. He made it sound safe. Said it was his wedding gift to us. She laughed. Bitter now. No mirth.
Gift.
Like poisoning the well. I held her as tremors racked her frame, my own anger fracturing into something softer, more dangerous, understanding. We'd all aired, me with my vengeful leaks, chasing justice like a Wall Street short sell, Marco with his paternal tyranny, mistaking control for love. Anna, the fulcrum, bending under weights she never asked to bear. The American dream's underbelly, where ambition chews the weak and spits out survivors slick with compromise. By 8 a.m., Ruiz banged on the door, coffee and bagels in hand, his face a roadmap of creases. Bail's set at $50K for the brother. He's out by noon. And you, kid, SEC sniffing. That tip you dropped? Timestamp ties to your IP. Sloppy. I winced. Ego's blind spot. Logging in from home like an amateur. Options rabbit. Or fight. I got a guy at the Times who owes me, could spin your side. Make it whistleblower wedding. Anna straightened, wiping her eyes. Fight. Her voice steel now. The exec emerging. But not just us. Marco, too. He needs to own this, or it'll eat him alive. The decision hung, controversial as sin, redeem the monster, or let him rot. We chose uneasy alliance. Ruiz dialing contacts while I scrolled the feeds, altar betrayal trending. Clips of my mic drop confession looping with CNN Sharon's. Wall Street groom exposes family fraud at nuptials. Comments fractured. Hero move, drain the swamp, versus patriarchy's revenge porn. Poor bride. Anna's aunties flooded her phone with voicemails, half cursing my name, half plotting Marco's hit. My mom texted a single emoji, broken heart, followed by proud of your truth. Son. Marco's release hit at 11:47. Paparazzi swarming the courthouse steps like locusts. We watched live from the motel TV, Anna's nails digging crescents into my palm. He emerged, Suit rumpled, but chin high. No comment, but a glare for the lenses that screamed untouchable. By evening, his firm statement dropped. Mr. Rossi denies all allegations. This is a personal matter exaggerated by a jilted associate. Associate. As if I were the intern he'd canned, not the man who'd nearly vowed eternity to his sister. That night, Anna made the call from a burner, voice steady as she paced the threadbare carpet. Marco, it's me. Meet us. The diner on Fordham Road. Midnight. No lawyers. No bullshit. Or I go public, everything. Silence stretched. Then his rasp. You'd sell out family for him? Her reply. Ice. Family doesn't forge your fiancé's signature.
Bro. Come.
The diner was a relic. Chrome stools. Jukebox crooning Sinatra. Grease thick as fog. We slid into a booth at the back. Ruiz across the street in his unmarked sedan, engine idling like a heartbeat. Marco arrived at 12:05, topcoat dusted with snow, face haggard under the fluorescence.
He spotted us.
Hesitated, then slid in opposite, eyes flicking from Anna's defiant stare to my guarded one. This the endgame. Jack, ruin me to feel big. Anna cut in, sliding the dossier across the Formica emails, transfers, the works. Read it. All of it. Then decide if legacy means legacy or just your ego. He scanned, color draining, the schemer's mask cracking to reveal the boy who'd shouldered Dad's abandonment. I did it for you, he muttered, voice cracking. Always for you. After Dad bailed, I swore no one touches my sister. And Jack, she pressed, tears welling but unyielding. He's family now. Or was that a lie too? The air thickened, tension coiling like a spring. Marco's fist clenched on the table, knuckles white, then slackened. I fucked up. The forgeries panic. After your tip hit the feds. Thought it'd buy time. Flip it on him. His gaze met mine.
Raw.
Didn't count on you fighting dirty. Dirty. I leaned in, voice low thunder. You framed me for fraud.
Marco.
At our wedding. That's not protection. That's prison. He deflated, shoulders sagging like a punctured tire. What now? Cops? Headlines? Anna's hand found mine under the table. Anchoring. Confess. To the firm, the SEC. Plea it clean, like before. But this time, we all carry it, no more ghosts. The proposal hung. And fraught. Redemption through ruin. A controversial pact where no one's hands stayed clean. Marco's eyes searched hers, the brother surfacing over the antagonist. And if I don't, then I walk. From both of you. Her ultimatum, delivered with the quiet ferocity of someone who'd laughed through hell. He nodded.
Slow.
The decision etching lines deeper. For you?
Kid.
Always. We shook, awkward. Loaded, enemies turned uneasy allies in the diner's hum. Outside. Snow fell thicker, burying the city in white absolution. The next weeks blurred into a gauntlet of negotiations, a tense tango under Manhattan's winter glare. Marco lawyered up proper, but this time with a white-collar specialist who specialized in cooperative resolutions. SEC meetings in sterile conference rooms off Broadway, where suits pored over ledgers like archaeologists unearthing bones. I testified, reluctant whistleblower. My own subprime sins dragged into light. A humbling mirror. Everyone's complicit, the lead investigator noted dryly. Pen scratching. Classic American hustle. Anna orchestrated from the shadows. Her tech firm placing her on leave, but her resolve unbroken. We sublet the loft, too haunted by half-packed boxes of china and confetti cannons, and crashed at my cousin's in Astoria. A cramped walk-up smelling of falafel from the halal cart below. Nights. We'd lie tangled on the pullout, her head on my chest, whispering futures untethered from fraud. Elope in Tahoe, she'd murmur. Fingers tracing my scars, literal from a childhood bike wreck, figurative from her brother's grip. Or just
Us.
no altar, no audience. Tempting. But the drama demanded denouement. By March, as crocuses pierced the slush in Washington Square Park, Marco's plea dropped, guilty to wire fraud. Restitution ordered, $150K. Half from his 401K. Half crowdsourced from family contributions. No jail, probation, community service at a Brooklyn legal aid clinic. Ironic poetic justice. The headlines spun softer. Brothers fall. Families rise. Redemption after wedding wreck. Pundits debated on Fox and MSNBC. Toxic masculinity or tough love. Splitting viewers into forgive and forget versus lock him up. Anna's laugh became lore. Memed as the villain's cackle, but she owned it in a viral op-ed for The Cut. I laughed because I was breaking, and it saved me.
Me?
I quit Goldman. The scandals taint too sticky for bonuses. Landed a gig at a nonprofit in Harlem, auditing microloans for underserved entrepreneurs, redemption's quieter path, trading wolves for watchdogs. Anna thrived, promoted at her firm for crisis management, her story a TEDx hook. Marco? He visited weekly. First stiff coffees at Le Pain Quotidien. Then tentative dinners, braciole sans suspicion. You're good for her, he'd grunt one night.
Passing the Chianti.
Don't fuck it up. Grudging respect. The antagonist softened to antihero. But darkness lingered. The story's undercurrent. Late April. As we planned a low-key courthouse redo, jeans and vows in City Hall. Just witnesses Ruiz and my mom. Anna confessed the final secret. Over rooftop tacos in Bushwick. City lights winking like conspirators. That voice memo you heard? Me laughing with Marco?
It wasn't about you.
It was relief. He'd promised to stop the schemes right after our engagement. I was giddy, thinking we were free. Her eyes shadowed. Then he backslid. Dragged me with guilt. I stayed silent to protect you from the mess. From choosing. The revelation twisted anew. Her betrayal. Not malice but paralysis. The weight of sibling bonds in a culture that Leonizes ride or die over reason. Controversial still. Who's the revenger when silence wounds deeper than sabotage? I pulled her close. The East River glittering below. We choose now. Every day. Valentine's redo dawned humid. A heat wave mocking winter's ghosts. City Hall's marble halls echoed with laughter, not brittle, but real as we signed. Ruiz snapping Polaroids. Mom dabbing tears with a tissue printed with world's okayest mother-in-law. No objections. No flashes. Just us scarred. Stronger. The tension uncoiling into tentative peace. Yet, as we emerged into spring sun, Marco's text buzzed Anna's phone. Congrats.
Sis.
OU. Simple. But laced, promise or peril. We'd never fully trust. The betrayals echo a low hum. But in America's relentless churn, that was the win. Surviving the storm. Debating the wreckage under stadium lights or bar stools. No absolutes. Just the gray grace of getting by. Summer scorched and like a grudge. July's haze turning Manhattan into a pressure cooker where old wounds festered under the sun. Anna and I had settled into a rhythm, her corner office overlooking the High Line. My nonprofit desk piled with grant proposals in a converted brownstone off Lenox Avenue, but the wedding's aftershocks rippled, subtle as seismic tremors. Marco's probation meant check-ins. Random drug tests, clean. Always. Mandated therapy with a shrink in Midtown who specialized in high-achiever burnout. He'd joke about it over enforced family brunches at Sarah Beth's. Doc says I'm a classic narcissist. Who knew? His laugh forced, eyes evading mine. Anna bridged us, her optimism a bomb. But I'd catch her staring at his retreating back, worry etching lines she'd Botox away by fall. The first real test came in August, during a weekend escape to the Jersey Shore. Marco's idea. Reconciliation retreat at the family manse, now half empty since Mom decamped to a senior community in Boca. The house loomed on a dune-backed street in Maniloking, weathered shingles and wraparound porch whispering of childhood summers, boogie boards, saltwater taffy, Dad's ghost in every creaky stair. We arrived Friday dusk, trunk stuffed with coolers of seltzer and shrimp, Anna's sundress fluttering like a flag of truce. Marco greeted us on the steps. Board shorts and faded Mets tee, a far cry from pinstripes. A beer sweating in his fist. Welcome to the madhouse, he said, clapping my shoulder, light now.
Tentative.
No bourbon breath. No veiled threats, just a man untethering from his throne. That night, over clams casino and corn on the cob grilled to char, the talk turned therapeutic. Anna steered, her marketing savvy turning vulnerability into script. What scared you most? Bro? About the plea? Marco poked at his plate, waves crashing audible through screens. Losing you. Again. Like Dad. The admission hung, raw as peeled shrimp. He glanced at me,
Grudging.
and you, Jack, sorry for the frame job. Panic mode. Firm's partners were circling anyway. Your tip just lit the fuse. I nodded, swallowing salt. Apology accepted. But trust's a bitch to rebuild. Honesty's edge. Dark and necessary, the therapy of it all. American as group hugs in self-help seminars. We cracked beers after. Porch rockers creaking. Stars pricking the velvet sky. Marco shared war stories, not deals. But doubts. The divorce he'd buried under workaholic benders. The client who'd OD'd after a bad investment pitch. Thought I was king shit, he admitted. Foam on his lip. Turns out, just a guy faking it. Anna squeezed his knee. Tears glinting. I felt the shift. Antagonism thawing to alliance. Though the whisper persisted. Could wolves truly change pelts? Anna and I stole moments amid the mending. Dawn jogs on the beach. Her ponytail swinging. Laughter bubbling as we dodged jellyfish like dodged bullets. Think he's for real? I asked. Sand gritty between toes. She paused. Atlantic breeze whipping her hair. Half. The rest? Time tells. Her honesty, hard one, fueled the tension's slow burn. Love as gamble. Every glance a bet on redemption. September brought structure. Labor Day barbecues in Prospect Park, where Marco manned the grill, flipping burgers with exaggerated flair, drawing laughs from Anna's cousins who'd once plotted my demise. But cracks spiderwebbed. A late-night call from his firm, probation violation scare over an unauthorized consult, had him pacing the sand. Phone clenched like a grenade. They're gunning for me, he vented to Anna next morning, voice hollow. She soothed. But I saw the strain, enablers echo. Her instinct to fix clashing with boundaries we'd etched in therapy, mine now. A weekly vent at a Harlem counselor who quoted Baldwin on Rage's Roots. The controversy reignited mid-month. A podcast scoop from some true crime bro in Austin. Wedding wrecker. Hero or home wrecker? Guests dissected. My mic grab lauded as Me Too for finance. Vilified as beta male meltdown. Anna fielded interview requests. Her op-ed follow-up in Vogue going viral. Betrayal's Gray. Why I laughed and loved anyway. It split the discourse wider, feminists hailing her agency. Trads decrying emasculation, pushing us into spotlights we'd dimmed. Marco, ever the flipper, leveraged it. Quiet consulting gig at a startup incubator. Ethics advisor, irony thick as fog. October's chill deepened the doubts. We hosted a non-wedding anniversary 6 months since the crash at our new place. A cozy two-bed in Cobble Hill with a stoop for people watching. Guests, select survivors, Ruiz with his wife. My mom bearing pie. Marco Stag, bearing Chianti. Laughter flowed. But midway, as Jazz scratched from the turntable, he pulled me to the fire escape for a smoke, his habit. Relapsed under stress. Heard you're up for a board seat at the nonprofit, he said. Exhaling blue. Proud of you.
Man.
Really? The sincerity landed awkward. Smoke curling like unspoken sins. Thanks. And you, staying clean? He nodded. Flicking ash. Trying.
But.
Got a proposition. Tension spiked. Old instincts flaring. Client, hypothetical, needs off-books advice. Nothing illegal.
Just. Gray.
Cut you in. 10%. The offer dangled. Temptation serpent in Brooklyn twilight. Easy cash. The wolf's whisper promising security in our fragile rebuild. I crush my unlit cigarette. Pass. We're done with Gray. He shrugged. Mask slipping back, disappointment. Not defeat. Suit yourself. But life's long.
Jack.
Opportunities knock. Back inside. Anna's eyes questioned. I shook my head. The moment, a microclimax. Our pact tested and tenuously held. Halloween brought levity, costumed bar crawl in the village. Anna as Morticia. Me Gomez. Marco a reluctant Dracula sucking on a flask of blood, bourbon. Natch. Amid the revelry, a drunk cousin cornered us. So, true love after the takedown? Spill. Laughter masked the ache. But later, stumbling home, Anna confessed over nightcap cocoa. I dream about it still, the altar. Your voice breaking. Terrifying. Thrilling. Her gaze. Intense. You saved me?
Jack.
From him. From me. The admission bridged us deeper. Intimacy forged in fire's forge. November elections loomed. The city's pulse feverish with division, mirroring our own microcosm, where forgiveness felt as partisan as polls. Marco's therapy reports came clean, but a slip, unauthorized email to an old contact, flagged by probation. Hearing set, Anna prepped his defense, her loyalty a double-edged blade. He's trying, she insisted, as we bundled against early snow in Washington Mews. Like us. I pulled her close, flakes melting on lashes. I know. But if he drags us back. The ellipsis hung. Threat unspoken. The revenge arc shadow. Ever ready to resharpen. December thawed the ice. Literally and not. Freak warm spell. Holiday markets blooming in Union Square with mulled wine and twinkling menace. Marco's hearing cleared, warning only, but it crystallized the debatable core. Was his slip relapse or human frailty? We debated it over lax at a pop-up in Flatiron, forks clinking like judgments. No one's all monster, Anna argued. Eyes alight. Or saint. That's the point. Marco, across town in group, texted a photo, him with therapy circle. Caption learning to share the load. Grudging thaw. Christmas Eve. We gathered at the shore house, full circle. Mom flown up from Florida. Her quiet faith a counter to Rossi roar. Tree aglow with heirloom ornaments. Sinatra crooning. We exchanged gifts. Anna's locket for me. Engraved Truth's Keeper. Marco's vintage Goldman tie clip. Ironic nod. Wear it better than I did. Laughter genuine now. Tensions coil loosening to hum. But the twist brewed subtle. New Year's cusp. Anna's promotion came with travel. West Coast pitch in January and Marco volunteered to house sit, a loaded offer. Trust exercise, he quipped. We demurred. But Ruiz's gut check. Kids clean, but old habits die hard. The dilemma polarized us internally, Anna's hope versus my wariness. Love's tension eternal. Resolution dawned on a snowy January 2nd, as we prepped for her flight. A package arrived, anonymous. Addressed to the Revengers, dossier redux. But flipped. Evidence of Marco's full confession to the DA. Voluntary. Burying the last loose ends. Note inside. His scrawl, graze over.
Clear skies.
Both of you.
M.
Relief flooded. Bittersweet. Anna hugged the papers. Tears salting snow. He did it. For real. We saw her off at JFK. Kiss lingering amid harried travelers. Promise of video calls and quick returns. Alone in the cab home. I texted Marco. Received. Thanks. Reply instant. Family? Right? The year closed as it began. Debates echo in every choice. No tidy bows. A happy ending? If measured in mended fractures. Tentative trusts. Yes, America's gritty grace. Where revenge yields to resilience. Tragic? In the scars. The what-ifs. The laugh that lingers like a ghost. But as I unlocked our door, city humming below, Anna's scent on the pillow, I chose belief. In us, flawed and fierce, the ultimate act of controversial courage.